I'm here with Andrew, the managing partner of the English Distillery. Andrew, would you tell us a little bit about the business?
So the English Distillery is home of the English Whisky Company, which was England's first registered whisky distillery back in 2005. It hadn't been done before. Well, it hadn't been done for over 100 years. So it was the first registered whisky distillery to be done in modern times. And we have been distilling since 2006.
Amazing. And whisky is potentially an investment. That's what we're here to talk about a little bit. So people might buy bottles to invest in, or indeed casks. In the context of that, what do you think just kind of drives the price on bottles? Is it rarity?
Bottles is definitely rarity and brand a bit.
Right.
Most of the well-known companies will have bottlings that they do specifically for an event or to celebrate something. Those tend to be more sought after, but primarily because there's less of them. Yeah. And when you go around, even looking at our own whiskies, there are bottles one of one that I don't even know about. There's no record of them at all because Father did him a bottle of one of one.
Yeah.
So they obviously will hopefully be quite sought after, but the brand is important. So the big names like Macallan, etc., they just command a higher price because everybody wants one. And then, yes, there's no point buying the bottle of Macallan that was in Tesco's.
No,
because that is not going to go up in value.
That's far less rare. So you'd recommend drinking all those ones?
Yeah, so you want to drink anything you can find online, really.
And with the casks, by comparison, that's probably a much higher barrier to entry.
It is. I am a very anti-selling or buying cask for investment purposes. Now, I am not anti people buying a cask because they're interested. I think it's great fun. It's really an interesting thing to do. Buying a cask is expensive. I mean, you could probably, certainly within the UK, you're looking at probably between 2 and 10 grand. If you are doing it because you have a genuine interest in the distillery or in whiskey or a passion for it, it's quite exciting. You can put it in for 10 years. You might want to change the type of cask it's been in. And over 10, 20, 30 years, however long it is, it should give you some enjoyment. The flip side of that is there's an awful lot of advertising for investing in casks.
Yeah.
And that business I am quite anti against. Most of the time you don't know where your cask is. If you own a cask, you might just be putting money into a fund that is investing in whiskey. So you might, effectively, it's like buying a bit of a leg in a racehorse. You don't own a cask, you just own some of it. There are ways to do it that are safe and there are ways to do it that aren't. But it's not regulated in any way.
Yeah.
So you've got to be quite trusting in who you're giving your money to.
Indeed. So going to the distillery itself and having a sort of vested interest is...
That would be my go-to. If you can buy it from the distillery, you're in the right place. That cask might not go up in value, but at least you know it's there. And any distillery that sells you a cask of whiskey, you're going to be able to turn up and have a look at it.
Yeah.
If you buy it from one of these investment firms, that is never going to be the case.
Yeah, you don't need an intermediary, really.
No, there is no need for an intermediary, I don't think. There are times where some of the better-known brands will have periods in production. We've just been through an amazing whiskey period for 20 years, where they just don't sell casks. And so there are casks out there from older than that. And so brokers own some and independent bottlers. So there is occasionally the opportunity to buy a cask from a particular brand that is older, but you need to do your homework.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Most people that can afford a cask are already at a certain age where they might not want to wait 30 years to realise their investment.
Absolutely.
Which is it's a long game.
Do many people buy it for the next generation as a kind of a...
Yeah, I refuse to sell any cask for the first few years. Now we do, I think for every 10 people that ring and ask to buy a cask, I manage to put 9 off.
Yeah.
And for the odd one that still gets through, there's a lot outside that are for godchildren, or own children, that sort of thing. I think people should be aware, though, that if I were to buy, or if you were to buy your godson a cask of whiskey, brilliant. You've paid for it, includes 10 years, storage, etc. But when Billy, who was 0, is now 10 years old, someone's got to start paying rent on that cask each year.
Yeah.
Then when he gets to 21, you've got a nice, aged, old whiskey. Not many 21-year-olds want 400 bottles of single cask whiskey, so he's not going to want to take it then. So he's probably going to wait till he's 40, at which point he might be showing an interest in whiskey. Yeah. So he's been paying rent on it for 30 years. And then at that point, he still owns a massive cask of whiskey that needs the duty paying on it, on what's left in it, because some's evaporated. He needs the VAT paying on it at the rate 40 years earlier. And then he probably needs it bottling. So the costs 40 years later, someone's writing a really big check. Yeah. But I think there's an awful lot of people that have been told this but haven't quite twigged how much money is going to be owed to get that cask out of a bonded warehouse and into your sitting room.
Absolutely. And the evaporation you're talking about, that's sometimes referred to as the angel share.
Yes. Yeah. So traditionally in Scotland it runs at about 2%. Yeah. In Norfolk it's more like 5%. Okay. Out of that, we're hotter and warmer. Obviously the sun shines here. And if you go around the world, and bourbon will be higher, Indian whiskey's running at 14%. Right. The whiskey's maturing faster, so that's the upside. But if you've set your heart on having a 40-year-old whiskey, it's in the hotter the temperature, the less likely it is to get there. Because by law, whiskey has to be 40% alcohol when it's bottled. If it drops to 39, it's no longer whiskey. Yeah. So at that point, your cask is valueless, basically. We had a cask owners day here last week, actually, and there was a lot of people going away to scratch their heads and work out on what they want to do with their cask. And I think if the opportunity exists, probably the nice thing to do is bottle some of it every 5 or 10 years as it goes through. And that way you're lessening the great impact at the end. But then that's if you want to drink it. If you just are doing it genuinely as an investment, the distillery sold it to you. In all likelihood, won't buy it back. Right. So you've got to find someone to buy it. Now, there are lots of independent bottlers out there who will be delighted that they're being offered a one-of-a-kind 40-year-old English or Scotch or whatever it might be. But you've got to find them. But there's a lot to think on, and I think 40 years is a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, plenty can happen in 30 years.
Yes, I think buying a cask is a fantastic thing to do and great fun, but it comes with a set of bullet points that people should be aware of.
Yeah, some of the advertised returns are perhaps a bit punchy.
It takes 3 years before it can even legally be whiskey.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, returns could potentially be really good. But you're a long time finding out. And over 40 years, they need to be bloody good.
Yeah. And the angel share, if you like, is the reason that there's the capital gains tax exemption for cask investments.
Just disappearing.
It's a wasting asset.
Yes.
Remarkably.
I mean, at 30 years old, we would generally say half has gone, thereabouts. But what you're left with should be more valuable, so you're fine.
Yes.
And it tastes nicer. It is the type of investment where it's if you have spare money to have some fun, it's worth looking into.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't rob my pension that I am relying on to have a go.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.